That's all right, as long as it's a look, we'll just fill in the spaces and make it a bit fluid then today, depending on what evolves. We'll take it from there. But I'll just give a couple of key points with zinc because it's quite sort of relevant because it has some importance with immune system function, amongst many other things, of course, that we'll just see. But and there's a whole bunch of stuff because of the coronavirus. If you type in nutrients for coronavirus, one of them that comes up is zinc. Yeah, so it's sort of topical and relevant, in today's climate especially. So maybe we'll do that. And you want to do another nutrient next week, Anne? And by the way, let me just say something because you're both sitting there. In the past, we've had 2 or 3 people doing a co-presentation for a nutrient. So if you felt like it or wanted to, you could partner up together and do a nutrient as well if you wanted to, or you can just do your own thing, whatever you feel like. But I like to sort of prepare for next week the best that we can so we're not in limbo. So what's your feeling, the 2 of you? Do you want to do one together, something else? Or
I don't mind. I don't mind if anyone do.
What do you feel?
I'm not fussed, to be honest.
What's that?
I really don't mind. I don't mind either.
Are you okay working with Michael together?
Yeah. Well, if there's only 2 of us, maybe it's probably a good thing to do that.
Okay, yeah. And Graham will probably be back there next week. But okay, well, why don't we try that? Just try something different. And again, in the past when we've done this, you can use it any medium. You can make it funny. You can pretend that one of you is interviewing, one of you is a doctor, and the other one's a journalist or something like that. So mix it up. It's always nice to have a little bit of humour because humour helps retention. Meaning you can remember things. It's easy to remember things. So all right. Well, then why don't we choose one now? Anything come to your mind, either one of you? We'll do zinc today. Anything?
I'm just trying to think of what's what.
There's the vitamins and minerals, fat soluble water.
Calcium been done?
Calcium's been done in the past, but that's all right. If we haven't done it, then we can do calcium.
No, we haven't. We haven't.
Okay, all right. Calcium's...
Only reason I say...
Go on.
Only reason I say that, because it might be relevant to me.
And me too,
okay.
Actually, because I've had a couple of broken bones lately.
it is extremely relevant to you, Anne, because of the meth thing. And I was actually going to mention that last week. But now that if we're going to do calcium, we'll do that. It's also relevant to Graham, and there were some things with zinc also that's relevant to Graham. And I think, did you do magnesium before, Michael? Was it you that did?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and there was some link there with hypertension. And it's interesting, there's a link between magnesium and calcium as well. So, well, that's great. Well, why don't we do that? If you're working in a pair, it'll help motivate each other a little bit as well and keep focused. Sometimes if one of you is a bit not motivated, the other one can sort of jump in there and say, get you in a headlock or something and say, well, let's do that.
Wrestle into the ground and put the book on.
My dear. All right. Well, that's good. Well, we'll do that next Friday. Calcium's on the cards next Friday. That's great. And you weren't here, Michael, but we started in the mindfulness class, we started doing the psyche, which and
I wanted to do that too.
Oh, we haven't finished.
It turns out that psyche is a little bit bigger than we thought, and so I anticipated maybe going for the next 2 or 3 classes. So
well, that's good.
We didn't get far.
Anne gave an interesting introduction to some people, and I'll recap on that next week, and we'll continue with that as we go on. So, yeah, so it's a bit of fun, actually. It's quite bizarre, a little bit scary, very huge, but a lot of fun as well. So that's quite an interesting learning thing. All right. Anyone want to say anything about zinc or ask any questions before we launch into whatever we're going to launch into? Anything?
No, I've got nothing to say. I'm learning about it.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let me just give me 1 second. I'll bring up my little things here. Give me 1 second. Now, what I've just got to see, and I don't know, I'm just going to share my screen. So just tell me if you can actually see this on the laptop. I'm not sure. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can, yes.
And you can actually read it? You don't have to read
Yes.
it. Okay, well, that's good. That's interesting. One of the benefits of having a small class, you're all going to, if Graham comes back next week, you're all going to have to huddle up closer. Goodness. All right. So that's it. That's the same screen I pretty much show every time, just to sort of give a little bit of a plug for how important these nutrients are. And as part of having these classes, we get to see some of the specificities of the particular nutrients, how actually important zinc will be, for instance, today. So we'll just shine some light on that. But this slide just basically just shows you the overall view of how important these essential nutrients are. What I wanted to do today too is provide some evidence and some resources for you. I was expecting Anne to go through. Have you still got those 2 books, Anne?
I don't. They were left here. So they're somewhere.
Yeah,
they're on the table. Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, maybe you and Michael can keep those together today when you're doing the calcium, because there'll be some interesting information in there. So I'm just going to jump around the place just for a minute until we get settled. But if you can see the screen, that's fantastic. So, well, in that case, why don't I say, why don't I go to another? I just want to see if you can see this. And can you see that screen still okay? I know it's a bit messy. Yeah. I've got a few things going on there. Let me just...
Oh, hold on. Consumer Lab? Is that the one we're looking at?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just going to...
Can't read about it.
Bring that up a little bit better. This screen is really just designed, and I'm going to show you that as well. So, okay. So say after today, you two get the idea, oh, I think I need to take some zinc as a supplement, I mean. Right? And I'll show you what foods it's in. Does either of you know what food zinc is in?
No.
It's pretty high in actual meat, and we'll go through that as well in a moment. Well, actually, why don't I just bring that up? Before we start, can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first question is, how much zinc do you need a day? So I think you two will fit in somewhere. Michael,
14.
Yeah, 14, and I think Anne might be a bit less than that actually. Yeah, Anne's the women are quite a bit less. As you can see, Anne's in the category of about 8 million.
Yeah.
Down here. Is that right? Can you see that?
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that right? So you need about 8 milligrams, and Michael needs about 14 milligrams. There's reasons why there's a reason why there's a gender difference. I know, for instance, this is anecdotal, but semen contains a lot of zinc. So of course women don't make semen, but men do. And I know zinc has some health benefits in regards to prostate function, and it's also needed for testosterone. So even though women produce some testosterone themselves, nowhere near as much as men. So there's a couple of things that will increase the requirements for men that we can obviously see here in regards to RDIs. You know what RDI means, Anne?
Something index.
Pretty good.
Recommended daily.
There you go.
Yeah,
intake.
Yeah, daily intake. Now, the Australian government, most developed countries in the world have RDIs for people, and they've been working on these RDIs for about 70 years or more. So it isn't just off the top of someone's head. When it says that men Michael's age need 14 milligrams a day, that's based on a hell of a lot of evidence. And that's for normal sort of, that's assuming that nothing is wrong that's stopping you absorbing the zinc. So that's the first thing. Well, how much of this nutrient do I need? That's sort of, you don't really, in addition to that, which is what we're about to get to, you just need to know, well, where do you get zinc from? Just assuming for the moment that zinc is really important, that you need it. And I'll give you one example. It's needed in about 300 enzyme reactions in your body. So when we spoke about
magnesium.
Yeah, magnesium, we talked about between 200 and 300 as well. So it's a cofactor, and it does several things. We'll get into that in a moment. But so first of all, that's how much we need. You need to get it from food. If for some reason something has been going on for you that would increase its demand, and that can be several things, and I'll go through some of those in a moment, then you might consider, or you might want to, a supplement. Now, the column on the right, you see that? It says upper limit. On the right there.
1900s.
Yeah, so it says 40 milligrams there. So Michael, and in actual fact, Anne as well, you shouldn't be taking more than 40 milligrams a day.
I don't know how much I'm taking.
What was that?
I say I don't know how much I'm taking.
Me either.
Wouldn't have a clue.
Are you taking a supplement at the moment?
No, I don't take supplements at all.
Right.
Just natural food. I don't.
Okay. All right. Are you, Anne?
No, just a vitamin B, omega B tablet I take every day. Oh, and I do take an autoimmune tablet.
What's in that? Your screen, I don't know if you can hear me or see me, your screen has dropped out. And I can't hear you or see you very well. Michael, can you, Michael, if you can hear me or see me, can you maybe have a look at what's happening there on the laptop?
Okay.
Okay, now we can hear you.
You're back.
Oh, good. I can hear you as well. That's fantastic. And I can't see you yet. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And we can see you.
Oh, that's all right. I don't know what's going on there. Something strange with Casey's laptop.
Yeah. Here we go.
Anyway, so as long as you can, I can't see you, but I can hear you. Oh,
there we go. Again, we can see ourselves now.
All right. What happened there? Do you know?
It just clicked and went blank. Yeah. The screen went blank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It must turn itself off if we're not using it. Or
Right. She's got some unusual settings maybe there, but anyway, we can sort that out. So you're not taking, Anne, you said you're taking a supplement?
Yeah, I just take vitamin omega B.
And what was the other one?
And autoimmune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's in it?
I have no idea.
Bring it next week. We'll
I will.
You must know what you're taking.
Yeah.
You must.
I just started taking them. I started taking them when the coronavirus hit because I wasn't doing much else that was good for my body. And I thought, well, my immune system's probably shot because I don't sleep, eat, or do, like I really overworked my body and I wasn't putting much in. So
yeah,
I got the autoimmune tablets because I thought that'll keep me safe.
Do you know what autoimmune is? Do you know what autoimmune?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's not the same thing as immune. Autoimmune is a whole different medical category to just supporting the
right.
So autoimmune, for instance, type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition. Autoimmune basically means, in the word auto, means that your own immune system turns around and attacks your body. Nothing to do with normal immune function. So
well, there you
go.
So what to do turns around what?
So say you've heard of type 1 diabetes, for instance. It mostly affects, it comes on with adolescents, young people. And what happens is that the immune system somehow gets the wrong message and thinks that the pancreas is needed to make insulin, amongst other things, enzymes. So the body thinks that the insulin producing cells in your pancreas are foreign, and it goes about setting up an attack against the pancreas, particularly the beta cells. So, and it ends up, unfortunately, wiping them all out, destroying the whole lot of them. So these young people, and it can start younger than adolescents, type 1 diabetes, have no way of making insulin. So, so they have to be mostly on insulin injections or some form of taking insulin for the rest of their lives. That's a classic example of an autoimmune disease. There are many autoimmune diseases where the body turns around and it has a specificity. The immune system decides to pick on a particular tissue or a particular organ, and that's what it does. So it's nasty business, and there is some sense in making sure that you have good nutrient levels to support your immune system, because, and we don't know this yet, that what entirely sparks that off, that thing, but it's something the immune system has run off the rails, or there's probably a strong genetic component to it. Anyway, that was a little bit of a side explanation there, why did I say all that? Just to help clarify, Anne and Michael, that if you're going to take a supplement, read the ingredients, make sure you know what you're taking. And this particularly applies for zinc, because as you can see, there's an upper limit there of, that's my finger pointing to the right of the screen. There's an upper limit there of 40 milligrams. And if things go pear-shaped if you take too much. But you need to also know that you're taking enough as well. All right. You okay, Anne? You look like you're struggling.
Yeah.
You okay?
No, I'm just curious to know what food zinc's in.
Well, let's jump straight to it. I'm going to go here. Now, this is actually in the book that you've got there, but rather than look at the book, you can look at this, or you can follow me in the book, however you want to do it. So this page, this is focusing on zinc, goes through all the food groups, and it's sorted. If you look at the right of the screen, it says percentage of RDI. So, for instance, wheat germ, they used to sell wheat germ a lot at in the supermarkets. They don't sell it so much anymore, but the wheat germ is the endosperm, not the endosperm, is the main protein nutrient dense part of a wheat grain. All the rest of the wheat grain is either just carbohydrate and or fiber. So the wheat germ, which is sort of the seed, the essence of the seed, you might say. Germ doesn't mean a bug, it means seed or sperm, actually, in this sense. Yeah, so there's a lot of zinc in that, but it's pretty hard to find. Have anyone there taken wheat germ in their life or seen it lately?
I think I've had it on cereal and that, yeah.
Right.
Is that what you do with it?
You can put it on cereal, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's an extraction.
Wheat germ has germination, isn't it?
What was that?
The abbreviated germ is germination, isn't it?
That's
The
right.
germination.
That's right.
Germination.
Yeah, right. Germination comes from germ, and germ also comes from seed. So yeah, germinate the seed. That's right. So if a wheat grain doesn't have an intact wheat germ component, it won't germinate. That's right. It's all right. So I'm just going to scroll down the list here to give you some idea.
What's teff?
Okay, teff is a grain that comes, actually, as far as I understand, because I've actually grown it in my own backyard, it actually originates from Africa. It's a grain that's commonly used in Africa to make their flat bread. I was experimenting with, and I'm just going to jump to a different screen for a moment. Can you guys see that? You might wonder what that is. What is that?
Bread.
It's African bread, flat bread. Made out of teff.
Without much butter.
You're paying attention.
It's a pancake made out of teff.
It's actually a pancake. That's exactly right. And the recipe, what I use this screen, Michael, when you were talking about magnesium, if you recall.
Yeah, I do remember.
Just stay with me here, Anne, because you asked which foods are high. This is a really good example of nutrient density. And by what do I mean by nutrient density? I mean trying to eat foods that contain a lot of nutrients, not just energy. So if you eat a white fluffy pancake, which if you can see that recipe there, that to some degrees that's even a bit more upmarket, but that's a basic recipe for a white fluffy pancake. You can see that there. The only thing that's added there is the ricotta cheese.
White all-purpose egg, whole, raw, lemon juice, cheese, ricotta.
It's making me hungry.
Yeah, that's
butter.
good. It's working.
Without salt. Yeah.
Hang in
sugar,
there.
brown sugar. Oh my God.
We've just got 10 minutes. Hang in there, Anne.
I'm drooling.
So what I want to do is compare it to a whole grain pancake, because Michael asked what's teff. Now this pancake here doesn't actually have teff in it, but it has some other grains similar to teff. It has like buckwheat and amaranth. Amaranth's listed as a weed in Australia, but it's actually a seed that has a lot of nutrients in it. You can eat it. And again, South American countries eat a lot of their flatbreads, and it can contain amaranth. In Africa, their flatbreads contain teff. In Australia, our flatbreads and bread and pancakes contain wheat. So this recipe here mixes up several grains, but also adds things like flaxseed, which is really high in omega-3, which is a really important fatty acid. And so it contains chia seeds, which come out of South America, which also contain a lot of essential fatty acids. Contains some sunflower seeds, which grow really well here in Australia. And that they contain high densities of nutrients. Now, to jump...
Can I ask you a question?
Go on.
Now, with what's written there, is that recipe, is that for one serve, or how many serves it for?
This recipe here
How many will it make?
is for a couple of serves. It's a few serves. But
Okay.
what I've
The reason
done,
why,
what I've done in this recipe and that recipe, they're equivalent. They're equivalent in the basic ingredient amounts and the overall total amount that you get. I think you get probably between 6 and 10 pancakes, depending on how big they are. So, so it's rather than say, well, this is all the nutrients you get in a day. This is more designed to compare these two recipes.
yeah,
So they're
I
equivalent.
understand.
All right. So
The
here's
reason, the reason why I asked that,
go on.
the reason why I asked that, with the chia seeds, it
Yes.
says 1 ounce or 27 grams.
Yep.
27 grams in the serving or 27 grams in the actual mixture of the recipe, is it?
That's in the recipe that's used. That's right. Not in one
Okay,
serving.
so
Less
if that's
than that in one
3 pancakes, you wouldn't get the 27 grams of the
No.
chia seeds.
No.
So if I was to put a tablespoon of chia seeds on my cereal,
Yep.
would that be classed as 27 grams, or how much?
No, 3
I know,
tablespoons.
3 tablespoons, is
Yeah,
it?
3 tablespoons.
Oh yeah, I'd see. Oh, sorry, I missed that.
No, that's
I
all
was just
right.
trying to work out how much weight and so forth, because I've got chia seeds there.
Well, you need to grind them or soak them, Michael. You don't just put
Okay,
whole
so I might
chia
just put on
seeds
a
on.
cereal.
Yeah, don't just sprinkle whole chia seeds or flax seeds on your cereal. You won't. They'll come.
Oh,
They'll come right out the other end intact, and they'll probably germinate still. So, yeah.
okay.
You
So the Jewish planet might have a few chia seeds growing, chia plants growing in it.
So we should crush them.
you can crush them with a mortar and pestle, correct? I've bought a coffee grinder there for you guys. A coffee grinder is perfect. I use a coffee grinder here in my home to grind all my seeds. I make nut butter and I make these pancakes and I grind them all. It looks like Anne's about to explode with hunger.
No, I'm just thinking we should go to your house for dinner.
Well, normally I'm hoping that we can meet face to face soon there at Freeman House, because these classes have all been theoretical, but we usually intersperse the cooking classes. And one of the things we've made these pancakes there at Freeman House. So hang in there, Anne, it's coming.
Okay.
So here's the result. Here's the evidence of those two things. Now, Michael will remember the magnesium, because magnesium featured in the difference between the white flour recipe is in green and the nutrient dense recipe is in the brown there. And you'll see around the middle there of that graph is zinc. You see that?
Yep.
And you'll see that it's nearly at least 2.5 times higher. So in one serving approximately of one of those pancakes, you are getting, what's that? That's nearly 80% of your RDI for zinc, which is huge. Whereas in a normal white flour pancake, you're getting less than 30%. So
right.
So all this is just designed to give you an idea that you can really maximize your nutrient intake if you know about food and if you know which nutrients are dancing around in those foods. So I just wanted to show you that because it's quite it's quite interesting, but also important. And that's sort of what they look like when they're cooked, and they're just absolutely
good.
Yeah, with butter, and you can sprinkle if you want a little dust of sugar on it, and you get the sweet
Lemon, oh my God.
the butter and all of that amazing stuff. All right, so I'll just go back to we were looking at that. So maybe we'll just spend a couple of minutes, because we're not going to finish this. We're not going to do everything. I think we're doing a pretty good job actually in covering what we wanted to cover. So I'm just going to scroll down this list for a moment. As you can see, if you just look at cheeses there, there's a huge difference between cheese and the amount of zinc. You know, Swiss cheese or Gouda is up around 15%, whereas cream cheese down the bottom are like 2% and 3%. So you can see there's there's a huge difference there, which is nice, really nice to know. And this just gives you an example. So I'm just going to scroll down for some interesting things here. Now here's an interesting one. This is relevant, that I've mentioned before, for the young blokes who eat lots of egg whites to try and put on muscle mass. When you're throwing away and not eating the egg yolk, look at down the bottom there, the eggs. It's got egg yolk and egg white. The egg yolk contains nearly all of the zinc, whereas the egg contains virtually nothing, which is really good to know. So in one egg, you're getting 5% of your daily zinc intake. That's why it's important to eat a variety of foods, because you're getting... So I'm just going to jump to fishes there. So I'm going to show you something really interesting. I'm just going to go straight to this screen here. And can you see where it says oysters?
Yeah, no.
Fish mollusks. That's the Latin name, but the fish mollusks are oysters and mussels and scallops and clams are part of that food category. Now, you can see there, if you ate one serve of oysters, you would get 400%.
Oysters, sorry.
Yeah, up the top,
of your intake of that's in the middle there.
400%.
400%, which is massive. So it turns out that oysters are the highest source of zinc in any food.
I went past the fish bloke the other day.
And is that like, does that include the ones out of the tin that are smoked, or is that just fresh?
That's a good question. I would be so bold as to say that it would, unless the smoking processing depletes the thing of zinc. But I can't verify that entirely, but I'd say it'd still have a lot of zinc in there, Anne, a lot. Even if it only had a quarter of it, it'd still get 100% of your ODI. Now,
so that's only with six medium oysters, you get 400%.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. Absolutely.
God, even yummy right now.
What's that?
I don't eat them. Oh, I just was saying that even that sounds yummy right now, but I don't eat them.
I
like them.
You don't have to eat an oyster to get enough your own of zinc. But I just wanted to make this point that sometimes there are foods, for whatever reason, they really concentrate a particular nutrient. And this is a good example. And by the way, and we'll just finish with this one point, that zinc works competitively with copper. Copper is also an essential nutrient. No one's chosen that yet to talk about. But when zinc and copper, they share a common way of being absorbed into the body, and they compete for that way. So if you have a diet, or if you have an exposure to lots of zinc but very little copper, it'll induce a copper deficiency. And the reverse is also true. If you drink lots of water with high levels of copper in it, which can happen in certain homes, and you don't get enough, you get barely enough zinc in your diet, you will potentiate a zinc deficiency because you're taking in so much copper. That's a point I wanted to make. Now, here's here's the final point. This is how kind nature is. Guess what? Oysters also contain ridiculously high amounts of copper.
Copper. That's amazing.
It is amazing. I find that extremely amazing. Any questions? Because I think we'll have to leave that there for today.
Interest.
But any questions?
No, that's really clear. That's good.
Great, that's great. So I'm looking forward to seeing you next week with the presentations. I'm glad you're going to partner up and team up. And Michael, just make sure she's had enough to eat when she.
Yeah.
I'll give her a slap if she doesn't behave herself. Wrestle her to the ground and force feed her.
If you don't get him down, I get it right on the bike.
Yeah,
There you go.
That's relevant.
Okay.
Nutrition club.
Thank you. Thanks, Hart.
Thanks, Hart. Have a good day.
See you guys later.
Good luck at the
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.